what a scheme is?
Scheme.
What is a scheme? Plot. That's what I'm telling you. But you said deceivers. Find me a deceiver.
Exactly. Yeah, deceivers, wasn't it? Deceivers, yeah? Okay.
It's not going to be there.
Check it. See this thing.
It's multiple translation. Let's have a look at multiple English translation which says deceivers. Which ayah is this that we're referring to? 30. Which translation is this? You have to be sure, because that's what you're claiming.
The word Makkah is used several times, it's not only one time. But let's say
There's a Hans dictionary.
Don't give me a dictionary. Give me an English translation. We've moved into a translation. Right? So your knowledge of Arabic language comes from a modern dictionary called Hansware. I studied Hansware when I was learning Arabic too. It's a modern dictionary. So modern Arabic is not the same as the Arabic.
Isn't he a scholar who knows what the Arabic word means?
Modern. Hansware dictionary of modern Arabic. Modern Arabic.
Any Arabic translation.
Look, I have Hansware here.
Do you know see? It is modern Arabic and old Arabic or not?
Look, Hansware 4th edition. But do you know what this dictionary is? Modern Arabic. So go to an Arabic which gives you the definitions of words in the classical times. Classical times.
I've heard it somewhere, but I can't find it.
Anyway, I'm trying to give the son an Arab. It's an old one, but the internet is not working at all.
So the ayah was in 25. Don't go to a lexicon. You look. You are so deceptive.
I'm not deceptive.
Do you know why? I'm using the term that we're discussing. The discussion about deception. You're being very deceptive. You said. Don't give me a dictionary anymore.
Why not?
You said translation. You said first of all, George. You said English translation.
This old Arabic. Do we speak now like Quraysh time in Arabic? When we talk now in our country, do we talk like Quraysh?
In the Quran,
to that logic, you can't make an interpretation of any word of the Quran.
No, we can. We learn old Arabic.
Now, because we
can learn the Fusha.
Brother, just one moment. In the Quran, Allah says, in the Quran, يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب. What is taraib in the Arabic language? Can you find any English translation which says dust on this verse? Zero. You'll find, brother, let me make my statement. You'll find zero English translation which says dust. Zero. Out of 24, so I know. So you know Arabic language.
What does it mean according to that?
No, I'm asking you because you seem to... Listen.
Means, right?
The discussion is going to end soon, very soon. In fact, if not right now. Why? You come along, Allah is a deceiver. Where? It says in the Quran. You don't even know the Arabic language yourself. Dust. Taraib in the Quran means dust. In this ayah.
He doesn't know. He's not
Look. What I'm just exposing is... No, do you know why I'm upset? Someone who claims to know Arabic. Look. أنا قضيت سنة واحدة في دمشق. ودرست اللغة في جامعة دمشق لمدة سنة واحدة كاملة.
You studied a language, I speak
I studied. Look, the best of the linguists are not Arabs. Sibawayh. Was he an Arab grammarian?
I have no idea what that is.
Of course you don't know, because you don't even know your language. Right. So Arabic language, the dictionaries, the forms, the rules, not necessarily formed by Arabs themselves. Non-Arabs. Sibawayh. You know who Sibawayh is? Do you know his kitab?
It was a book for the Arabic grammar. النحو العربي.
Yeah, Al-Kitab of Sibawayh is a book that you should learn about Arabic language if you want to really...
You are bringing a word that came into a context. The word makr, back there in time with the Prophet and his people, the word didn't carry the negative meaning. In our time now we are giving to it.
Yep. So that's the point I'm making.
You understand?
I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
The believing is a different matter
This is
altogether.
the explanation
Right.
for it.
Fine.
Plus, we give you the Bible, the
According
same
to
thing
theology.
exists in the Bible. That God is
Yeah.
deceiving.
God sends a lying
If the
spirit.
language used in the
In the
Quran-
Bible.
if the language used in the Quran is not relevant for today, then we can't.
Who says it's not relevant? What I'm saying is you need to learn the language of the Quran. No,
It's different
you need to
from
learn
today.
the language of the Quran, not the language
what I'm
of
saying.
Egypt.
Modern
what I'm
Arabic.
saying.
We do not need modern Arabic to understand the Quran. You need
I'm
to understand the classical old Arabic to be able to understand.
For
the
example,
Quran.
if you want to learn a book written by before Shakespeare, are you going to go and just say that learn normal English? You have to go to the times when they were medieval English. What was the? In fact, I had some example of English writing and English text. You will know you have to read it first of all and understand its meaning. That's how different English was, even English, even the Anglo-Saxon style. Arabic language, of course, has also evolved in different dialects and so on and so forth. The Quran, when it gives, it has been preserved in the dictionaries that I mentioned to you. They preserve the meaning. That's where we have to go to, not Hansware, not Al-Mawrid.
The Arabic lexicon.
Can I change the topic?
Yes.
You have said you believe in the God that they are equally God while being different. But they are not equal in the power. You said they are equal in the power. I told you no, they are not equal in the power. This is a wrong belief. Jesus is
an
less
expert
powerful
in
than the
Christian
Father.
arguments. I'm not an expert in Christianity.
But you're a
You are not
Christian expert in arguing with Muslims instead.
What if we explain
Okay.
to you, are you willing to learn? He can learn nothing. If we explain to you that Jesus is weaker than the Father, what are you going to do?
I don't believe he's weaker.
Huh?
I don't believe he's weaker than the Father.
No, he is weaker than the Father.
He says so
Many
himself.
aspects. And we can show you from the Bible. For example, Jesus does not know who touched him from behind. He was touched, and he need to ask and tell, and he said, "Who touched me?" He does not know what's behind his back. He see a tree far away there. He does not have fruit or not. He go looking
Okay,
for
let's see
fruit.
how he responds.
Response to that.
Yeah.
When Jesus asks about who touched him, that's not proof to say that he didn't know who touched him.
So why have to
Okay.
He was not,
Make it something
ask? Take over.
simple. Does he know when the hour is going to establish the end of the world?
Does he know when the hour?
What did he say about that himself?
I know. Only the Father knows.
Does he know is the question.
He said only the
No
Father.
one knows. Even
What
the
did
son.
he say?
He said the son doesn't know.
Slow down, brother. What did he say? Whether he knows or not?
He said he doesn't know.
He says he doesn't know.
Yep.
So if he doesn't know and the Father knows, are they equal?
But Jesus came down and
Before you
humbled
say
himself
come down humble,
and
are they
humbled
equal?
himself to be like one of us, but
Can-
without losing his divinity.
So what did he lose? When he says no one knows the hour, is he speaking as a human being? He says no human being knows in the first place. No one knows. Not even the angels in heaven. But not even the Son, but only the Father. So did he say the Son in a divine form knows?
He didn't say that, but could be true.
No, he says no.
He didn't say that.
Okay, if I said, only I know the secret of what's in this program in my phone, whether this is a program to play games or is a program to do computing, right? Only I know. If I make this statement, does it mean he also knows? Only I know. I, the only one, know. That means no one else knows. So if Jesus says only the Father knows, can anyone else know? No one else can
I
know.
understand what you're saying.
So
As
that
I've
means,
said,
according to that statement,
as I've said,
can the Holy Spirit know?
I think it does, yeah.
No, he says only the Father knows.
Only the Father.
I know what you're saying.
So
but
when you
as
know,
I've said, I'm not an expert.
it doesn't matter. You don't have to be an expert.
I don't know.
You don't have to be an
I'm
expert.
pretty sure there are arguments. for
It
that.
looks like it's not an argument. No, it's not an argument. This is black and white.
You are blind.
Only the Father knows.
I'm not a blind follower.
Because you're saying, I'm sure it must be an argument.
Because I've heard this debate before. and I was
What if
convinced.
the word saying only the Father? No. If it says only the Father, not the Son, he specified Jesus, not the Son, not the high angels, only the Father. If Jesus himself from his mouth said the Son doesn't know, how we can understand the Son can know somehow? If he said the Son doesn't know, yeah,
Doesn't make him weaker.
doesn't him weaker? If
Makes
he
him
said
not equal.
weaker, he said
Different,
weaker.
but they're both God.
Hang on. So you have one God. You have one God, the Father, in your belief, who knows more than the other one. So one is less knowledgeable than the other. So can you have a belief in a God who doesn't know everything? So you have Jesus Christ, which you think is God, he doesn't know everything.
I I know what you're saying.
then how can he be God in any shape or form? He's not worthy of worship by anyone, let alone by Christians. Do you follow so far? By his own admission. By his own admission. By his own admission.
At the end of the day, by his own admission, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
That doesn't make any.
At the end.
Look, there is only
beginning and the end.
there is only one Alpha and one Omega.
God.
No, there's only one. Who mentioned?
Yeah, there's only one, God.
Wait. If a person in the Old Testament side said, "I am Alpha and Omega," can he also be Alpha and Omega? If he can be, if there's more than one Alpha and Omega. How many Alpha and Omega do you believe in? How many?
One.
No. In the Old Testament time, God of the Jewish people.
In three beings.
Wait, no. God of the Jewish people said, not we are Alphas and Omegas. He didn't say, we are Alphas and Omegas. He says, I am an Alpha and Omega. Right? So, when you have more than one Alpha and Omega, you mean what? More than one God, right?
This is I am the Alpha and Omega.
Anyone says, I am Alpha and Omega, and you have another being says, I'm Alpha and Omega, so they're competing gods. Because that Alpha is not the same as this Alpha.
Depends on who's speaking.
If he says, I am Alpha and Omega, and he's the Son, and he says, I am Alpha and Omega, he's the Father, how many Alpha and Omega are there? Two. That's not one God, that's two gods.
It's the same God in three different beings.
Two gods working together as a
You're
family.
saying that three can't be one. I can say one can be one. Three can be one.
Five can be one too, but it doesn't mean it's one
You
God.
believe
It's according to your belief.
Five gods working together as one family. Is that one God?
Depends on how you define working together.
I can of myself do nothing. I will listen to you.
as I hear I judge, my
Yeah.
judgment is right.
So this is what
I seek my
the Christian son says to the
I seek
Christian
the one of the Father.
father. So that's the relationship. So one says, I can't do anything. I only do what you tell me to do. I'm not going to go myself. I will be sent by you. You are greater than I. I cannot do anything. I cannot do any miracles. Only when you give me the power and authority. I can't do anything because you are the greatest. You are the God of God. If that is the relationship, and I bring you up, I believe it says Father God, Son God, Daughter God, Mother God, Uncle God, 5 in 1. Would you say that's one God? This kind of relationship. Because the head is the father, and the uncle and the daughter and the brother and so on, they are the weaker ones.
I'm not saying the three complete each other. I'm saying they're both the same, both equal in power.
They're not equal in power. Who gave Christ the power to do anything? According to himself. He says, I have been given.
Yeah, and who sent him? In the
Okay.
Bible?
If you are given power, does that mean you had the power before? Does it mean, can you give power to God? Can you give knowledge to God? He already has it. You can't give any more to knowledge to God when he's all knowledgeable. You can't give power to God when he's all powerful. Only person who can receive it is when they don't have it. If I am all knowledgeable, you can't give me any more knowledge because I know it all. So if you give me, listen, if Jesus receives power, then he didn't have the power to begin with. Because if you are all powerful, you can't receive any more power because you have all of them, all of it. So if Jesus says that he receives power and so on, that means he didn't have it in the first place. If he didn't have it in the first place, who gave it to him? Someone else. So they're not equal.
Show me an example of a human who's not a God, who's not, apart from Adam, who was conceived without a father.
So if I give you someone who was not even conceived at all, would that make him God? Melchizedek. Without a father, without a mother, without a beginning, without an end, without genealogies. He was a contemporary of Abraham. You know what Jesus said? Before I am, there's another person who was before Abraham.
It doesn't make him less.
Does it make him God?
I'm not sure in that.
I am sure, and you're sure too. It doesn't make Melchizedek God. How can you make anyone God? Just because like this. Unless you really want to believe Melchizedek is God. No father, no mother. No beginning of days, no end of days. Who has no beginning and no end of days? God. That's Melchizedek describing himself. So is Melchizedek another God? God number 4? 4 in 1? If this is what you're going to believe, I'm not going to quarrel with it. This is what you believe. But no Christians believe in it. So you need to be consistent. Remember we were talking about it? consistency. You have to think and say, look,
In the same chapter that Paul talks about Melchizedek in Hebrews, he never refers to him as God. Only refers to him
even though he has
as our
qualities
Lord.
of God.
Only he
That's precisely our point.
as the Lord.
This is precisely my point.
As the Lord. So
Do you see?
Paul
Precisely
knows-
our point. You give, or the Bible gives, divine qualities to people who are not even God. It doesn't make them God anyway. As you're saying, Paul doesn't call him God, even though he has Alpha and Omega, no beginning, no end. It doesn't make him God. So that is why in the Quran, Allah tells us, to people like you, تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء بيننا وبينكم, that we worship none but Allah. None but Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is the God of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, God of Musa alayhi salam, God of Isa alayhi salam. What did Isa alayhi salam say? I am going to, in your Bible, أنا ذاهب إلى إلهي وإلهكم. I am going to my Lord, my God and your God, my Father and your Father. He's going to his God. So if he's saying I have a God that I'm going to, then what do we find? That
doesn't
he
make
is
him human.
no. When you say he's God, you know that he is someone who has a God. I am going. أنا ذاهب إلى إلهي. I am going to my. I'm not sure how the Bible translates this. I'm going to my God. If I said to you, George, really think. If I told you I am going to my God, who is greater than I, would you ever, in your right mind, ever think that I am God myself?
We don't take that verse on its own.
Don't take my verse on its own. So my verse, my statement that I made, I am going to my God who is greater than I. So would you ever in your right and sound mind take me as God?
If I take that verse on its own,
Yeah, on its own.
no. You
So
won't
that
do
means this statement that I made makes it clear that I have a God that I'm going
say
to.
Allah is Khairul Makirun, and that's it. That's the entire Quran.
Khairul Makirun? You don't even know the grammar.
Whatever it is.
How can it be Khairul Makirun?
The best of all plotters or planners or whatever. And I know nothing else about
No. Khairul Makirun or Makirin? Which one?
Makirun.
You know Arabic, right? You clearly don't.
Change the meaning.
It does change because it surely shows. Look.
Change the meaning. It does not change the meaning.
Inna Allah Khairul.
Makirin.
Why is it Makirun? Anyway, besides the point. Here, he's the best of planners.
I can't take that verse on its own.
Allah is. You can. Allah is the best of planners. You plan and you plot. Allah plans and plot, and he's the best of planners.
That does not give me the full picture of God.
Clearly, Allah is the best of planners.
That doesn't give me the full. He's also kind. He's generous.
But it describes him. It describes him that he's the best of planners. When Allah says, worship Allah, He is Rabbukum. Okay? Rabbu Abaikum. He is the Lord of you and your fathers. Christ himself says, worship God, your Lord, our Lord. And what do we find our Christian friends do? They worship Christ instead. You need to tell them to stop doing that. Worship the God of Christ.
Isn't it written in the Quran that Jesus, Ruhum minhu.
Ruhum minhu doesn't mean it's a part of him. When we say, look, again in Arabic language, وَجَمِيعًا مِّنْهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ and everything Allah says in the Quran, جَمِيعًا مِّنْهُ. Does it mean all of it is part of Allah? Look. Minhu. Ruhum minhu, jami'an minhu. Is the ruh part of him? Is the whole universe part of him? When Allah says naqatullah, is that part of Allah? The she camel? Listen, the she camel, when we have mudaf and mudaf ilayh, the one you make possess and possessive, right? Okay, my book, Allah's house, the temple of God, is it part of God? Meaning, physically, temple is also God. But God is describing my temple, dedicated, built to be worshipped, me to be worshipped. When God says, my temple, my prophet, does that mean prophet is part of him?
This is my spirit.
If God says my prophet, does that mean the prophet and God is intermixed and they're part of one being? It doesn't. So when I say my book, it doesn't mean my book and me. The book and me is one entity, one substance. It doesn't. It means I'm a possessor of this book.
But you and your spirit are one and the same.
Wait. My body. Who is me speaking here? My body?
This is one and the same.
No. The body and the ruh.
You can't differentiate.
Listen. The body, when I say my shirt, I'm not the shirt.
I know.
Right. When I say my body, I'm not the body. Someone else is speaking here, right? When I say my body, who's speaking? The body speaking or someone else speaking saying that's your body? My body. It's not the body speaking. Body and me is separate now. Yeah. So likewise, when Allah says okay, Ruhum minhu, it doesn't mean it's part of Him. Allah has created the universe. He says Jami'an minhu. It doesn't mean this is all part of Allah. So this is our standard. Look. I have heard of this before. That's why I'm able to respond to you. Why Christian missionaries or Christian people, when they discuss with Muslims, they bring the standard discussion elements without really any substance. Why? They haven't gone into the Arabic language. They haven't gone into how the Quran explains it in context. And that's why it's easily answered. Easily. I'm not an Arab, but I was able to even show you from other Quranic ayahs mentioned this. You as a Christian, come back to worshipping Allah, the God of Isa alayhi salam. Would you not want to worship Allah? Okay, that's up to you then.
Thank you very much.
Take care, George. Pleasure meeting you.